Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and it's time for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques. Dave,
yes, sir.
Let's roll.
Well, we're talking about WAHOOs, and he's one of the most sought-after pelagic game fish, mainly because we were talking about he's so good to eat. He's a lot of fun to catch. You hear a lot about how they have a huge run on that first thing. They're pretty relatively easy to catch after they make that first run if they're under 50 pounds. There's like two different WAHOOs in the world, one under 50 pounds and one over 50 pounds, because the one over 50 pounds act totally different. I mean, they can really dog you after that initial run. They have enough body mass that they don't get tired as quickly. But the smaller we call them snakes, the smaller WAHOOs, they can wear out pretty quickly after that first initial run. And especially if you're using a lot of heavy gear, which is what we catch them on quite a bit right now. We'll start off with some of the high-speed trolling stuff there. You got your hand, we got a Zac Attack lure, and you'll notice it's, I think it's on 400-pound mono with a double hook rig. You can troll this heavy mono with a nice double hook rig like this, because the fish's mouth is never going to get near the mono. This is all wire inside here, so he's not going to be able to bite his way through that. And we'll troll these at 12 to 14 knots. Usually a pretty high drag, and we'll use a nice shock leader, a WAHOO shock leader, a big monofilament shock leader that's maybe 100 feet long or 200 feet long, maybe 50 feet long, depending on how you want to do it, just to have enough mono stretch in there, and you're gonna get messed up there.
I know.
Anyway, this is a regular wire rig that you've discovered on the bench there, and with a stinger on it. And this is like a number 7. If I'm fishing for WAHOOs, I'm usually 7 is the lowest as I'll go. But I'm usually using between 7 and number 9 wire, sometimes number 10. If I know I'm in a place where there's a lot of big ones. But I've caught a lot of big WAHOOs, 50 pounders and up on a little rig just like that, with a 7 or 8 aught. And a nice little treble hook on there, an equal claw treble hook, a L774-2, because it's a triple strength.
And this is the O'Shaughnessy laser sharp hook.
Correct.
Yeah,
and you can use those at an 8-aught or a 9-aught or a 10-aught. Yeah. I like smaller ones better. I'm usually not going to have enough drag on there to straighten that thing out, and smaller hooks do find their way in a WAHOO's mouth a lot easier than a great big hook.
Right.
I got a live bait rig here. You're hearing Tommy talking about how a lot of guys are starting to use live baits out there for big WAHOOs. You put a big tuna on here or a bonito and drift it out. If you've had a couple of strikes or you've caught a couple of WAHOOs, so there's some around this particular piece of structure, a live bait, a tuna live bait, is going to catch the biggest ones down there. They really like to eat a live bait. Mm-hmm. And if you rig one up like that with a nice bunch of treble hooks festooned down his back, he's not going to be able to get away. This is another trolling bait for WAHOOs using cable instead of the single strand wire. Cable is great as well. Just make sure you have a nice set of Felco cable cutters when you're using cable, because it can get messy if you don't have a good pair of cutters. That's a nice trolling sinker. Like Tommy was also saying, we like to get stuff down. And when we're going really fast, the faster you go, the tendency to all these bullet-headed lures is to act like a boat. That head acts like the hull of a boat, so they want to come up. So we got to try to do what we can to keep everything down, and we either use those big trolling weights or planers or stuff like that to keep our baits, between 5 or 6 feet below the surface, even when we're going really fast.
You got it in really fast. Good job.